This DIY is so easy to accomplish. I'm going to be taking this bell that I found at the Dollar Tree. I thought it was just a little too blingy for my style, so I went ahead and removed all the florals and the tinsel-y type things on top, and I also cut off that little hook that would allow me to hang it up. I just snipped that right off. And now I'm going to take some E6000 and some hot glue, and I glued the handle in place so it wouldn't move. Then I took it outside and I spray painted it a really pretty light gray color. And now I'm going to come back in and I'm just going to simply dry brush all over this bell because I wanted to make sure the poinsettias were coming forward, and I wanted it to look frosty as if it had been sitting outside on your door. So now I'm going to wrap a ribbon around it, add a bow, and then I'm going to come back in on the top. I added in a little craft stick and I'm gluing it into place so that I can add a finial on top of it. I thought this looked really cute, and I love the wood contrast with the gray paint and the buffalo check ribbon. Then I added some pine cones, as you can see there in the center of my bow, and I drilled a couple of holes in the bell right at the center bottom because I wanted to be able to make sure that it was gripping onto the bell and onto the sign. So now I'm just adding in some extra glue on the sides to help reinforce it so it doesn't wiggle or fall off over time. And then I'm just going to go and hand paint on the number 25 because I thought this would be so beautiful for Christmas time. For this craft, we're going to be using these long dowel sticks from the Dollar Tree, 2 stars and 2 wood plaques. Now you don't have to do 2 of these, but I loved how they looked where one was taller than the other, so that's why I made 2. To get started, we're going to cut the twine out, patch those holes that were originally in the plaque and the stars, and then we're going to drill a hole in the center of the plaque and a hole at the bottom of the star. And you're going to want to make sure that the point is facing down. You can see that I lifted it up so I didn't drill through my desk because I do use my drill in my craft room. Once you've got those all drilled, and if you don't have a drill bit that's big enough, I don't either, I just drill around a little bit in a circle until I get the size that I need for the dowel. I like to use a wood glue and a hot glue combined for that long-term, short-term hold while it's drying. I just don't trust hot glue by itself forever, and I always like to make sure I add in some wood glue. Once that's all dry, go ahead and paint your base and your sticks or your dowels, whichever you want to call it. And keep in mind that you're going to want one dowel to be shorter than the other, so I did cut that down a little bit. I forgot to show that, but you're going to see at the end that one is taller than the other. Now you're going to decide what color you want your star to be painted. I'm going with red and white this year in my home, so I'm painting my star red. And then once everything was all painted and dried, I went ahead and took some sandpaper and just roughed up my star to give it that farmhouse distress look. I don't get too crazy with this part because I just like a little bit of distressing. I know it's not for everyone. Now for this next part, you're going to notice that the base has some text paper on it. Friends, I recorded it and for whatever reason it was out of focus. I'm so sorry, but how I did it was I took a piece of text paper from a book, I cut it down to size. I didn't make it perfectly shaped to that size, but I just cut like a nice piece of it, and then I cut a slit, shaked it and shimmied it around the little dowel, and then I just glued it all down. And once it was glued down in place, I took some sandpaper and sanded the edges until I got that shape that was perfectly the shape of the base, and then just glued it all into place. So here you're seeing me add on the moss on top of it because I just really love how this looks together with the text paper on it. You don't have to do the text paper or even the grass, but I just think it looks so cute all together. Very farmhouse, very chic. I don't know. And then now what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking these greenery twist Christmas tree, there's a name for them too. Friends, I'm so sorry. I'm the worst at names here on my channel. But I'm going to take it and give it a haircut because last year I realized when I was working with this and trying to make a tiny wreath that they were just too bushy. So I give it a little haircut, twist it into a wreath, add a cute bow. I'm going to link my bow video down below if you're interested, and then add some berries, and then they're ready to be displayed. This next DIY is so friendly. It is a perfect DIY if you're a new crafter and you want to try something out. What you're going to need, one of these foam cones from the Dollar Tree. I struggled saying that a little bit. And then whatever ribbon you choose from the Dollar Tree or other places, or anything you might have on hand. So this ribbon is from the Dollar Tree. I picked it up during the fall time, and the trick to it is you're going to fold it in half where the wires are coming together and touching, and then you're going to start to just snip along that ribbon. And we're going to be making a wider snip as you're going along, and then as we get closer and closer to the top, you're going to see that I'm starting to make it a little bit closer together so that they're smaller snips versus wider snips. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your hot glue, you're going to go ahead and put that on your cone, and then you're going to just keep going around and around until you coil all the way up to the top. Now you can see at this point I'm starting to make my snips being a little bit smaller. Right around this area, the middle, I like to go a little bit more of a medium and then really small towards the top. Now this is a part that I learned as I was going along and trying this and kind of coming up with how I wanted to do it. I decided to add some hot glue in between where the wires touch each other, just to try to help it keep it from losing its form or its shape, and it just helped it to make it easier to put it back on when I was coiling it around the actual cone. So as you're getting towards the top more and more, you're going to notice that at the very top it's not going to want to cover all the way up, and you want it to be nice and clean. So I took a piece of the ribbon and I cut it into a larger circle. I put some hot glue, I pulled it all around the side, so that way when I got up to the top we can make this look as clean as we possibly can. Then as you get to the top with those really small cut pieces of the ribbon, how you see me fraying it, I went ahead and just twisted in the very end and glued it down into place. This really makes it look polished up at the top, and I just love how this turned out. Now this is where it gets even fun. We can stop here and leave this as it is, but I felt like the top needed a little something, plus I wanted to kind of clean it up some. So I found this leftover pick piece from one of the florals that I used for this video, and I decided that it would be so cute if I poked that down at the top and then added some wood beads at the top. I don't know what it is about this part, but when I did it, I ended up, oh, it went from feeling like it was cute to feeling like it was high-end, something you would see in a boutique, and it just kept getting better and better, and you're going to see that I just keep taking it one step better. Now again, you could totally stop here, and you could even just do the tree, not the wood balls on top. But then I decided, wait a second, let's take it one more step further. So I took one of these wood blocks from the Dollar Tree and a little dowel also from the Dollar Tree, and I just drilled a hole, and you can see that I didn't have the right drill bit that I needed for it, so I just kind of wiggled it around until I got it to a size that I would need for the dowel to be able to fit down in there. Added some hot glue, added it into the tree at the bottom, and I pushed it down, made sure it was secure, and then I also hot glued up in there to make sure everything was nice and secure. With the bow being on top, it's so cute. Now we could stop there, or we can go one more step further. And this is the thing about DIYs, they're so fun to customize them, to make them your own and keep playing with them. These little garden tags are from the floral section. I love these things. There's something about them that looks so farmhouse, high-end looking. And then I went ahead and just popped it off the stick, glued it onto the wood block, and now I decided to write the number 25 because I thought that would be so sweet for Christmas. So I went ahead and just took my time with my thin paintbrush and some white paint, and once it was all done, it's ready to be displayed. For this DIY, we're going to be using a book that I always am tearing things out from, and one of these plastic ball ornaments. Now these books, I pick them up from the Dollar Tree, so I never feel bad about cutting them up because I'm never planning on reading them. I use them for my crafts because I love the look of text paper, especially for a modern farmhouse look. It just looks so pretty, so pretty. You can even use this text paper with like a retro look. I just think it works for everything, but that's just me speaking. So go ahead and cut them into strips, not too thick. You want them to be thin enough to be able to lay nicely over your ornament. And then you're going to make sure you're cutting off that end part of the page so you don't have that blank paper. You want it to actually have all the text on it because then it'll look more cohesive. Now you're going to take your Mod Podge and you are going to rub that all over the ornament, and then you're going to take those strips of paper and you're going to simply just start gluing them down. Now make sure you get the air bubbles out of them because you want them to lay as flat as you possibly can. For the first few, I let them be nice long strips that came all the way down. And then as I moved on, you don't want it to be clumpy and bulky at the bottom, so make sure you cut them off towards the bottom so it lays nice and flat. Then I went ahead and popped back in the metal top, and I'm going to take some of this buffalo check ribbon. I love this with the text paper. And I'm going to simply just glue it around the rim of it and curl it up onto the side, gluing it all nice and flat in place. Use a popsicle stick where you need to push everything down because the metal and the hot glue together really heat up strong and it will burn you pretty bad. Then I'm going to take a bow and I'm just going to put some hot glue and just put that right down into place, and it's ready to display on your Christmas tree.